This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstein Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 5, Episode 16, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on all the social media. And I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the mighty Hogstein Network on audio and, of course, here on YouTube where you're watching now. So thanks for watching. And, okay, Washington played early, got lucky, 30-29. I thought that was one of the best games I have seen at FedEx in years, just back and forth, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a great game on so many levels, but, you know, they managed to get lucky because, you know, when the other team jumps offside and lets you kick another field goal at the end, that's how you have to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. It was, I don't understand. Did we overhype this defensive line? Are they just not in prime shape? I mean, you know, like I said last week, you know, it's not an excuse that, you know, you can't hit during, you know, training camp and mini camp and all this stuff. You know, you're a professional athlete. You're supposed to be, you know, this is your job. But is it a possibility that they just have not come together yet? I mean, we saw Matt Ioannidis go down early, and I believe he came back. I don't think it's going to be a long-term injury. But, you know, is this defensive – I guess my question for you is the defensive line overhyped, or have they just not put it all together yet?
Well, people don't like this answer, but I'm going to say this. Back in off-season camps, which were voluntary, Chase Young wasn't there.
Correct.
They come up with camp. But everybody said it's voluntary. He's allowed to do what he's doing. I'm like, he's working out. So where is he? Oh, he's out in LA filming commercials and doing, you know, TV shows. And I'm like, what? No, it won't matter come the fall. Don't worry about it. Listen, second year players, it's a dangerous year for you as a player because the other side now has plenty of film to watch you, and they spend the offseason watching someone as good as Chase Young.
Mm-hmm.
You say, this is my job. This is everything. You're a 10th year player. Go play Family Feud.
Mm-hmm.
But when your player coming back, you got to put in everything because if you don't, that's how he's not falling out of the league, but a lot of guys do. A lot of coaches told me the reason third and fourth year guys fall out of the league is because they no longer had the hunger to do what they had to do to make the league. And now the younger guys taking their spot. For Chase, I look at it like, okay, it's only 2 games. And he started a little slow last year, but last year he was a rookie and had no offseason. Here, you got to put everything you have into the game and no distractions. You know, Joe Theismann regretted a lot of the stuff he did, like the restaurants and all that jazz for a while, because, you know, it takes away. You got to focus on everything. And teams have countered him some. They're chipping him more with the ends. They're doing things. They spent their time in the offseason getting ready for him. I don't think he spent enough of his time getting ready for them.
Well, yeah, and we saw what that guy Slater for the Chargers was able to do against him. But then again, you know, that guy's pretty much owned Chase Young since college. But you would think going into this week, you've got a banged up offensive line with the Giants, and then they lost, you know, another piece of that offensive line. So it's such a mash unit, you know, of an offensive line. You would think that our defensive line was going to dominate. Now they did, mostly on the run. John Allen had a big game, but those were a couple of those were coverage sacks. You know, I mean, the defensive line played better, and obviously the third down percentage was better. But, you know, you're expecting the 85 Bears against the Giants and that awful defensive or offensive line that they had. But, you know, here's another question. What is up with Del Rio not spying Daniel Jones? We know this guy's going to run against the team. He does it every time. He had 95 rushing yards or something crazy like that. A quarterback, especially that doofus of a quarterback, should not be running like that against this defensive line. And I know it's Pro Football Focus. They look at all these different things, but how is Jamin Davis such a highly rated player on Pro Football Focus? I have not seen it yet. The kid's got speed, but it's only his second game. He's learning. You know, I still think that this linebacking core is just such a need, an area of need on this team, and I don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah, I don't look at nerd stats when I find it. It's really interesting how they can do something like Ricky Seals-Jones had a 13.7% chance to catch that ball. Where in the world do these stats come from? I don't know. I'm impressed that it can even come up with a number like that. But yeah, I mean, the D line, no pass rush, no pass defense. That was kind of obvious at times too. William Jackson was naked and afraid in that backfield some days.
Yeah.
I thought Houston, I thought played better. They still made a couple really good plays on him. I've seen the Chargers and the Giants just make great plays against St. Houston. I wouldn't blame the Rook.
No.
Now, made some up, but man, they've hit some plays on him. But the front line just isn't getting the penetration, and that was ridiculous. This is a bad team that they played.
Yeah.
I forget. I mean, it's scary that you're a life and death to do it. And then needed them to jump offside at the end to kick the field goal again.
Yeah.
That's scary, scary stuff. But, you look at it, Heineke coming out party again, man. This kid.
Yeah. I was going to say, let's not just dwell on all the negative. There is some positives to talk about. That throw to Seals-Jones,
yep.
I have not seen a throw like that from a Washington/Redskins quarterback in probably 20 years. Nobody that they've ever had in here would throw, maybe since Joe T had the balls to throw that ball. That was a hell of a throw.
Best part of that throw was it was his third option.
I know.
He could have run too, and he didn't. And I thought I've always said Heineke is a baller who plays better when the lights come on.
Yep.
Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know what it is. There are guys like that. Ripken was a little like that.
Mm-hmm.
You go out and practice during a week. Ripken was just, and then games come when you play better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really this guy too, Taylor. For doing this, he's not afraid. It's not too age for him. So I like that a lot. Does he stay healthy and keep going? Who knows? I mean, his history says no, but that's okay. This is a new year. He could do it. I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick gets his job back unless Heineke gets hurt.
Yeah.
Because why would you do that?
Yeah.
You might as well keep this kid. And, he can do pretty much anything. And he got better as the game went. First early throws, he's throwing them to 8-foot guys in the stands. But once he calms down, he's doing fine. I thought the running game did fine.
Yeah, that was my point was going to be with Taylor is he just gets so amped up for that first series that he just, like you said, he's throwing to 10-foot tall guys that they're not 10 feet tall. We saw some great grabs by McLaurin. We saw a couple high grabs by Logan. I mean, these guys went up for the ball, but for the most part, once he settles in, he's a very accurate passer and he knows where to throw the ball. I did see something interesting though, and I guess this is more of a where the team is. If that had been Justin Fields or one of these high profile guys, it would have been nothing. ESPN couldn't control what was coming out of their TVs, how much they would want to talk about this. It seems like Heineke's not getting the pub that he should, and it was more about how the Giants are in a dreadful state again. They're starting 0-2. Is it time to blow it up? It was all about how the Giants were bad over how, I'm sorry, Heineke went out there on that last drive and beat them. Now, granted, we had to win it with the penalty, but Heineke marched them down the field. I mean, and you saw throughout the game, Gibby had long runs, but then you bring in McKissick and you have, like, I remember the third down touchdown run that McKissick had. Turner has a different confidence level when it comes to Heineke and McKissick and guys like that versus what we saw last year when Alex Smith was in there. He just has a different confidence level in those guys that what he calls they're going to execute, and look, Turner's still trying to figure it out. We get that. We've got a lot of new pieces on offense. We're still waiting on another new piece on offense. And I really think when Samuel comes in, we're going to see a lot more passing attack. I know you've said that Heineke is probably like a 25 to 30 pass type quarterback. What did he have? 41 Thursday night attempts?
I think it's 43 something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that was a high volume of passing and not a lot of running, but I think that's kind of what the Giants defensive line was dictating. Like I said, Gibson had nice long runs. McKissick had a nice long run. This team is you can kind of see from week 1 to week 2 that they're putting that offense together, which is what we need to see.
Yeah, there was a drive I think it was the late third quarter. They went for a touchdown. They did so many different things in that drive. And I wrote then on Twitter, this is what Scott Turner does best. He was counterpunching so many different ways. And sometimes I'm baffled by him, especially early in games. He tends to call a better second half game, I've noticed. But run and throw and balance a lot more in that drive. When I saw the final stats that they had thrown twice as many passes as run in a one-score game, I was kind of surprised by that. But I wouldn't take away what happened in it in the end. Kind of keep a better player. But yeah, get McKissick to come in, bang, bang. And then Humphreys got a couple plays in a row, bang, bang. You know, they spread it around quite a bit. It wasn't just Terry, although Terry had 11 catches.
Yeah, 14 targets, 11 catches, 107 yards, I think, and a score.
And Ricky Seals catches a touchdown. You're like,
yeah,
whoa. I mean, I was that game going, wow, that was a hell.
But Rick, that's how you win. You don't just focus on. Look, McLaurin is obviously your number one wide receiver. He gets the most targets, but the ball is spread around. It's not necessarily, hey, we got to feed this guy. It's, hey, who's open? You know, and we saw it with McKissick on the third down run. Sure, that could have easily been Gibson, but McKissick is your third down back. They gave it to him. You know, Seals Jones catching that. Let's not put anything past Seals Jones. That was a hell of a catch by him too. You know, that wasn't all Taylor. That was a nice get up and go and able to get your feet in bounds catch. But yeah, you know, Logan is your number one, and Seals Jones comes in and catches the touchdown. I mean, you know, that's what they need to do. They know they can't just, in previous offenses with this team, we've seen it so much where they key on certain guys like, oh, well, he has to get 5 targets and 3 catches to feed his ego. No. This team, McLaurin is probably the most content wide receiver I've ever seen. If he goes out there and catches 1 ball, he's glad if the team wins. If he goes out there and catches 10 balls and a team loses, he's going to be pissed. You know, it's with Terry, it's not, you know, it's not about him and his stats. It's all about the team winning, which, you know, we haven't had that around here in a while.
The interesting part too, in 2 games, Samus Reyes inactive twice. Jared Patterson in the second game doesn't have a carry. Just shows you the preseason, people lost their mind over this. Yeah. I said, man, you lose your mind over the end of the roster if it doesn't really show up in September. I don't know. All right,
but like we said, Reyes is going. They put him on the team because they knew somebody would take him. You know, that's a talent that you're going to develop, but you have to keep him on your roster in order to develop him. And you know, we saw it with Peyton Barber. We didn't think Peyton Barber would get past our practice squad, and look, the Raiders snatched him up. And I don't know if he played any, but you know, they did beat the Ravens on Monday night. So I don't know. But Jared Patterson will have his moments in this offense, I have a feeling.
Yeah. One last thing before we go. County Fair weekends are popping up everywhere. I did mine. I shot the geese and ducks racing each other. They do pigs too at our county fair. Over 21,000 views on Twitter. People love duck races, man. Ducks get out of the blocks early. You got to bet on them over geese.
Yeah.
I guess we're just country people that think, what are you talking about? And everybody else is watching, wondering if I have some more. Oh, yeah, man, I got lots of footage. Duck races in Wisconsin. You know, enjoy the one. We'll do it again next year.
Luckily, I've got a 15-year-old that is out of the fair, going to the fair with her parents, and my 3-year-old who doesn't know what the fair is yet. So I'm sure in a couple of years I'll be there.
Such a curmudgeon.
I know.
All right, here. I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent on the Hogstye Network.